Okay. So Chodesh Tov, we are on with Aleph from Beis 11b towards the bottom. And we stop kind of in the middle of a sentence because the Gemara is about to introduce Miriam's relationship with Kalev and the various different verses that indicate and talk about their relationship. So let's first begin with the two lines that we left out yesterday, and then we're going to look at the verse in the Book of Chronicles, and then we'll come back to the Gemara so we understand what the Gemara is doing. So where we're at is that the Gemara, the verse said that in reward for the midwives, Miriam and Yocheved, going with that view, in reward for the fact that they feared God and did not listen to Pharaoh, not killing the babies, nor allowing him to make his advances as he had wanted to. So God built for them a home. And we understand that a home here doesn't mean a literal physical home, but a house, as in a status, a name. We had two opinions, Rav and Shmuel. Does this mean the house of Kahuna and Levi, the house of the priesthood that emerges from Yocheved and Miriam? Yocheved being, of course, the mother of Aaron and Moshe, so she definitely has progeny that are both Cohen and Levi. Miriam is who we have to talk about. How does she get Cohen and Levi? And then, well, actually, the Gemara is going to say in a minute a little different than what I just said. And then the other opinion is that the house means a house of kingship, a house of sovereignty, in that the Davidic line emerges from these two women. So let's see how that is. So here, by this Mem Daled, Mamda Amar, according to the view that says that they were rewarded with the houses of the priesthood that emerged from these women. So this is Aaron and Moshe. Aaron and Moshe being the sons of Yocheved. So Aaron and Moshe, are both Cohen and Levi respectively. So Yocheved's progeny are Cohen and Levi. Now, Amanda Amar, the view which says Bate Malchus based David, that they were rewarded with the sovereignty, with kingdom, with the house of David that emerged from these women. Nami Miriam Kasi. This too comes from Miriam. That Miriam herself is the ancestor of the house of David. How is that? So here we get to, I'm going to read the Gemara as it is, and then we'll go, as I mentioned, we'll go to the verse, and then we'll come back to the Gemara. So the verse reads in the Book of Chronicles, Thomas Azuva died, and as we're going to see, Azuva is Miriam. Miriam and Azuva are the same person. And this is Ashes Kalev, the wife of Kalev. And then, Vayikach Loi, Kalev, and then after Azuva dies, Kalev takes for himself another wife, Ephrat, a woman named Ephrat. Now, as Rashi tells us, based on the Gemara soon, Azuva, Ephrat, and Miriam are all one and the same person. Okay, so Azuva being Miriam is easy, but here the verse says that Azuva died. So explains Rashi, it doesn't mean literal death, but actually it means that she got tzarat, right? We know that Miriam got leprosy, right? She got the spiritual infliction of tzaras because of her lashon hara, right? She spoke about Moshe Rabbeinu, and we talked about this earlier, her measure for measure, where the people waited for her for 7 days to become purified from her leprosy, from her skin discoloration because of spiritual infliction. So when the verse says that she died, this is a verse in the Book of Chronicles. So the verse says she died. It doesn't mean she actually died. It means that they had to separate because she was like dead because she got the spiritual infliction of tzaras. And then when she is healed, Kalev again re-engages with his wife. And here the verse refers to her as Ephrat. So it's actually the same person. Miriam, Azuva, Ephrat, all one and the same person. And we're going to talk about why she has these different names. And when the verse says Azuva died and Kalev married Ephrat, it means Miriam got tzarat, and after she was healed from a tzarat, Kalev reunited with her. That's what the verse means. And the Gemara is going to get into in a moment how that is. Now, the verse continues in Book of Chronicles. V'atayled lo Chor, and Ephrat gave birth to Chor. Ephrat / Azuvah / Miriam, wife of Kalev, after healing from Tzarat, gives birth to Chor. Now, the verse reads, so now we know that Miriam is Azuvah, and Miriam is Ephrat, and Miriam married Kalev. Now, the verse reads, and this is a verse in Book of Shmuel, that David ben Ish Ephrati. David is the son of the man of Ephrat. That is to say, that David's progeny comes from Ephrat. Ephrat being Miriam, the wife of Kalev. So this is the Gemara at this point. But the Gemara left us a little bit, I explained this based on the way Rashi explained it to us, based on the Gemara later. So this is the Gemara first puts the verses down upon which it builds its case that Miriam is in the line of the ancestry of David, specifically by telling us that Miriam is Azuvah, who is Ephrat. And the verse says that David comes from Ephrat. So the Gemara is going to get into in a moment more details about Azuvah, the name Azuvah, and what this is all about. So in order to understand the Gemara, I think it'd be best if we look at the verses that the Gemara is about to analyze, which are the verses in Book of Chronicles. So specifically, these two verses, verse 18 and 19, in chapter 2 of Chronicles 1. So of course, the Book of Chronicles is exactly that. It's got lots of chronicles. So it's a lot of genealogy. I think that's the word genealogy, as in it gives us the lines of, the generations of various different families and people. So I'm going to read the verse as it's translated by Rashi, and I'm going to show you why Rashi does that and how the Gemara is learning it differently. So the verse reads as follows: the Kalev ben Chetzron, Kalev son of Chetzron, Hoylid es Azuvah Isha, gave birth to a woman or girl named Azuvah Isha, the es Yiriyos, and a woman named or girl named Yiriyot, the Ela Bana, and these are the sons of Azuvah, and they are Yesher, Shoivav, and Ardon. So these are the children of Kalev's children. Okay. Now the verse then says, "Thomas Azuvah died." This is the verse we just read earlier. Vayikach leKalev es Ephrat, and Kalev took a woman named Ephrat. Vateled lo Chor, and gave birth to Chor. Okay. So if we read the verse simply, then Azuvah Isha and Yeriyot would be daughters of Kalev, and then these Yesher, Shoivav, and Ardon would be the grandchildren of Kalev. That's how we would understand the verse. So now Rashi explains this for us because it's a little bit confusing, because the word Isha means a wife, right? So Kalev Hoylid gave birth or begot Azuvah Isha, Azuvah wife. It's a strange kind of reading that Kalev gave birth to Azuvah wife. Something's missing. So explains Rashi, because he had a wife named Azuvah, he named his daughter Azuvah Isha. So Rashi tells us the word Isha doesn't mean a wife. It means it's part of the name. His daughter's name was Azuvah Isha. And he named his daughter Azuvah Isha after his own wife, who had died, Azuvah. That's a simple reading. Now, the way the Gemara is going to translate it is as follows. So I'm kind of giving you the conclusion of the Gemara so you can see, we're going to see how the Gemara gets there, but it's going to be easier, I think, to understand the Gemara's conclusion and how it reads the verse before we actually go to the Gemara. So this is how the Gemara reads it. Now, the Kalev ben Chetzron, Kalev son of Chetzron, Hoylid had children, es Azuvah, by his wife Azuvah, Isha his wife. So Hoylid doesn't mean that he gave birth to Azuvah Isha, as Rashi explains here in the simple reading, but rather, Hoylid, it was given birth to him by Azuvah Isha his wife. The es Yiriyos, and this Azuvah is also called Yiriyot. So now Miriam has now a fourth name: Azuvah, Yeriyot, Miriam, and Ephrat. Right? So let's see this again. Kalev son of Chetzron, Hoylid, it was born to him, et Azuvah, by Azuvah Isha his wife. The et, and she is also Yeriyot, Yiriyos. And then the Gemara reads the verse even more. Ve'ela banah, and these are the ones who gave her sons. So now these are going to be the names, not of her actual children, but the names of her husband who gave her these children. Yesher, Shoivav, and Ardon. So these are going to be names of Kalev. And then it says, Thomas Azuva died. Again, died doesn't mean literally died, as the Gemara translated it, but rather that she got Sarat. And then Vayikach Loi, Kalev, then Kalev again remarried his same woman, whose name is also Ephrat. And they gave birth to Hur. So in the Gemara's reading, there's only one second generation, Hur. In the simple reading, as Rashi told us, it sounds like there's 3 generations. Kalev, his 2 daughters, Azuva, Isha, and Yeriot, and they gave birth to Yesher, Shoivav, and Ardon. And then there's another woman named Ephrat who gave birth to Hur. That's the way you would read it without the Gemara. But in the Gemara's reading, it's 2 generations. Kalev had a wife named Azuva, who was also Yeriot, and Kalev's name were Yeshev, Shoivav, and Ardon. And this woman, Azuva Yeriot / Miriam, is also named Azuva, who got Sarat, and that's why the verse refers to as died. And they gave birth to Hur. That's the Gemara's reading, which we're going to look at. We're running out of time already, so maybe we'll look at that tomorrow. But that's the conclusion of the Gemara. So when I was reading it the first time without doing this, I couldn't really follow what was going on until I got to the end and I realized what the Gemara was doing. So I figured I'll do the same thing for when I teach. Look at the verses, get to the end, see the difference in the way the Gemara reads it and the way the simple reading would have read it. And then tomorrow we'll see how the Gemara breaks this down and taking a step by step to lead us to the reading that I just shared with you. Okay. So Chodesh Tov, have a wonderful day and a wonderful month.
Chodesh Tov. You too. Thank you.